Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very, very well. Welcome back to another Chelsea news video. I'm going to be going through all of the latest updates regarding the club at the moment, regarding transfers, and there is a bit of general news as well. So stay tuned, watch for the whole video, and smash that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you want to have consistent updates on what's going on at the club. Let's start off with the non-footballing side. Let's start off with the stadium. Okay, we've heard about the stadium talks for a long time. There was a lot of confusion. What's going on? I interviewed Handy Viss as well. He said that somebody needs to take the lead on this project. No one is taking responsibility as it stands. It's come out from the Athletic that staying and redeveloping Stamford Bridge to the specifications that Clearlake and Todd Bowley are looking for is exceptionally complicated, to the point of being potentially unfeasible, which means it won't happen. It can't happen. And what that tells you is what I kind of already knew, is that we will not see a new stadium while Clearlake Capital are involved in this football club. I believe that Clearlake Capital want to sell, and then you might see some progress. And Todd Bowley wants to be part of Chelsea for 20, 30 years or so, he says. And I think that he'll be the man to do it. I don't think Clearlake are interested because they just want to make money, and having debt on a stadium is not good for cash flow. So no surprises there in terms of the stadium. I don't think anyone really should be surprised, but hey, there you go. According to the BBC, Nizar Kinsella, Christopher Nkunku has won a lot of support internally at Stamford Bridge, but his future remains uncertain. This is a player who was heavily criticised during the season. I defended him more than most, to be honest with you, because I do believe he was mismanaged. And it's very difficult when you're not a natural winger or striker to fit into a certain system, and you're not getting much game time either. But we have seen a certain improvement from Nkunku. And one of the reasons for that is he's been given the freedom to go a little bit more centrally. He's still playing out wide at times, but he is able to creep inside as opposed to being like this touchline winger. And yeah, to be honest with you, if I had to say keep or sell as it stands, I would keep Nkunku. I think he's a valuable player, good depth. Not saying he's going to start every week, but I think he's got more than enough quality to have an improvement. And it seems like Maresca trusts him as well. So, or he's gained a little bit more trust since the beginning of the Club World Cup. Among many possible remaining Chelsea transfer targets are Alejandro Garnacho and Morgan Rogers. We've also made an inquiry for Joel Hatto, the Ajax centre-back, who can also play as a left-back as well. Now, I believe that at least one of these signings will 100% happen. Probably the most likely out of the three is Joel Hatto, mostly because he'll be the cheapest. And I think that this is a move that can be agreed quite quickly. I don't think that it's going to be a particularly long negotiation, somewhere in the region of sort of 30 to 40 million. And I think you'll get it done. And you've got your cover for Cucurella. You've also got cover for Colwell on top of that. Then you've got the Rogers and Alejandro Garnacho debate. Who is a better player to bring in out of the two? And some people are actually having this debate. I think most people would say that Morgan Rogers is by far the best option for Chelsea. I don't even think it's really worth talking about. But if you look at what Morgan Rogers has been able to produce just this season at Aston Villa, these are his numbers. So let's not sit here and act like this isn't a guy capable of pulling up numbers. He's done it. He's played Champions League football. He's a young international. He's one of the best, brightest young stars that we have in England. And he's been able to produce 29 GA in 54 games. That is really, really impressive, especially the fact that he's playing for an Aston Villa side who, let's be honest, this is their first real step up to the big time in a long, long time. And he's been one of the players to propel them into a situation where they can even have a conversation about getting into the Champions League. So it would be a huge loss for Aston Villa if he was to leave. But this comes back down to profitability and sustainability rules. If Aston Villa need to sell, then they're going to sell an asset that's going to make them more money. And if they bought a player for 30 and sell him for 60, fine, that's 30 million. But they could get at least 70 to 80 million for Morgan Rogers. And that's without wanting to sell him. So imagine if they actually went into negotiations with Chelsea and we had a chance of signing Morgan Rogers. You cannot sit here and tell me that this isn't a player that would upgrade our side. That he's versatile. He can play in a number of different positions. He's good at playing in the type of system that we like as well. He can counterattack. He can dribble. He can score goals. He can assist. What is not to love here? He can play on the left. He can play in the middle. He can play on the right. It's fantastic. And if you compare his numbers, Morgan Rogers to Alejandro Garnacho, there is a difference. It's not crazy, but there is a difference in terms of GA. 29 for Rogers and then 21 for Garnacho, which almost flatters Garnacho in a way, to be fair, because I think a lot of people might be surprised by those numbers, but a lot of those contributions from Garnacho are in games which aren't nearly as important, or maybe that's not the right word, against sides or in a competition where it's slightly easier, scoring against Bodo Glimt and teams that I don't even know about in the Europa League, and a number of goals in the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, Barnsley and Leicester. So I think that there is a little bit of stat padding there from Garnacho, which almost makes it look like his numbers are better than they really are. But he still scored the goals. But if you're telling me that Chelsea have to spend an extra 30, even an extra 40 million to get a hold of Morgan Rogers, not only do we have an amazing asset, but we have a significant improvement on what we've got. And off the top of my head, maybe he'd be a replacement for João Felix. And João Felix isn't going to be staying at Chelsea because he's already shown a lack of commitment by wanting to leave in January. And I don't think there's any surprise that we're happy to shift him on because, to be quite frank, I don't think Maresca rates him anyway. So, that's the reality of João Felix's future at Chelsea. And hey, if we can get someone like Morgan Rogers to come in and do a job, I don't think anyone's going to complain. So let me know in the chat how much you think he's worth and if you actually believe this deal will happen. I think there's a small chance, not a big chance, but a small chance. But Joro Hato, I think there's genuinely seems like a realistic chance we can sign him. Garnacho, if United are asking for anything like they were previously, 50 or 60 million, I just can't justify it. I can't justify that it'll go up in value. I can't justify that he's good enough for the money. So doesn't even look like a good player to flip. Moving on, Nicholas Jackson is attracting a lot of interest in England. It's almost impossible for AC Milan financially. They were one of the clubs that were interested in him, but there's other interest in Europe. Chelsea don't want to sell, but if there's a good proposal, he could go. So it's a similar situation to Noni Madueke in a way, but my stance on this is that Jackson's a better player than Madueke. That's just my opinion. And I've seen a lot of comments, people saying they don't like Jackson. They can't wait for Jackson to go now that Madueke is gone. I have to say, I think that's really harsh. I do think that's harsh. And I think that Jackson deserves a little bit more respect than that because he's not one of our best players, but he's certainly not been our worst. Okay, he hasn't been our worst. He has contributed in his own way, and he's given 110% most of the time. So let's not sit here and act like Jackson's been an absolute flop for Chelsea. We signed him for about 30 odd million. It wasn't an expensive signing. It wasn't a high profile signing. And I would say that Jackson is a better player now in terms of what he's achieved in his career and what he's done than he was when he started. And that's not necessarily hard, but it's true. And this is a guy that we can't get 25 goals a season from, but we know we can get at least 10 and we can get 15, maybe 20 GA in a good season. Okay. So there's something to offer. A lot of people are saying that he won't be able to adapt to, having players like João Pedro and Liam Delap starting ahead of him. But you're going to have to get used to it as far as I'm concerned. And Chelsea are in a really, really strong position to basically do whatever they want. Jackson signed a new deal exactly the same time as Cole Palmer. What was that, a year ago? And he's got like 8 years left on his contract. So he is in no position to tell Chelsea what he wants and push for a sale. If the price isn't right, it's not going to happen. And I don't think Chelsea have any problem holding on to him, even if he is a third choice. By the way, I think that's still an upgrade because I'd rather have Jackson as a third choice than Mark Guiu. And maybe this is a conversation for him to be moved on because now he's gone from being even lower in the pecking order than he was last season. So I think that Mark Guiu, maybe a transfer to Strasbourg or a loan deal domestically, or maybe we're just going to sell the guy on for a profit. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me either. So yeah, in terms of our success in the Club World Cup, guys, a lot of people are talking about what are we going to be doing with the revenue that we've made. We made $100 million, just under £90 million, about £85 million. It is, according to The Athletic, we're not going to change anything that we're doing. More arrivals could be made, but they will be dependent upon player departures. So that's the main focus for the time being. The plan is to have more exits than incomings before the end of the window. The club have a number of squad members who are not part of their long-term plans and are looking to go elsewhere. So that list includes Raheem Sterling, Ben Chilwell, João Felix, Renato Vega, Armando Broja, Leslie Ugochukwu, and Axel Disasi. So you got at least 7 players on that list, millions of pounds in terms of wages to get off the books. And again, if we can get rid of all of those players, we will be in a very, very healthy position financially. And I'm not going to argue against any of those players leaving. The only one that you could maybe be slightly disappointed about is Renato Vega, because he is a young player, has a lot of potential and looks quite good. But again, a bit like João Felix, he wanted to leave in January and get minutes. So if you're not willing to fight for your place at Chelsea, as far as I'm concerned, that's your problem. You know, this is a mentality thing where you go to top clubs, you are going to have to adapt. You're going to have to understand that there will be times when you're not playing regularly. And that's not because you're a good player or a bad player. It's competition. This is what it's supposed to be. And that's why the best teams have depth, because they use it. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens in that side. I think we'll probably get quite a few sales, but it will be difficult to move Sterling and Chilwell because their wages are extortionate and they're not particularly valuable anymore compared to when we signed them. The players are going to be having a little break and they'll be back from holiday because they're now on holiday in early August. So they'll have a couple of weeks off, although they will be expected to train. And yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to the next season, guys. And also, I'm looking forward to having a front of shirt sponsor. Chelsea is speaking with up to 10 major brands and are looking at signing a long-term deal worth £60 million per year. We feel that we're in a strong position to generate such a sum for a number of reasons. It clearly helps that we're obviously back in the Champions League and we've just won the Club World Cup. But we believe, or Chelsea believes, that firms will want to be associated with the youngest team in the Premier League, a side crammed with exciting players like Cole Palmer, Estevao, and Moises Caicedo. We've got the potential to be one of the best sides for several seasons, and being the only club without a front of shirt sponsor right now means we do not face competition from rival clubs. We did receive a number of bids over the past 12 months that were for much lower sums and for a shorter length of time. But a decision was made to wait in case the argument for a greater price improved. And that obviously has turned out to be a really, really good decision because we've ended the season very, very strong. And then just finishing up, guys, on the Club World Cup, will Chelsea be able to defend the Club World Cup trophy in 4 years' time? And the answer is that we don't know. Okay, FIFA are yet to adopt a definitive position on whether winning the Club World Cup guarantees entry into the next edition of the tournament. That is not hugely surprising, given how hastily this summer's inaugural expanded competition was arranged in the United States. But the answer may depend on where football's governing body looks to for president. The World Cup winners have not been given automatic passage into the next edition of the tournament since France in 2002. But winning UEFA's Champions League obviously grants automatic qualification for the league phase of the competition the following season. As things stand, there's no mechanism for Chelsea to be certain that they will be in the Club World Cup in 2029. But as FIFA demonstrated with a convenient interpretation of their entry criteria to ensure the presence of Lionel Messi and Inter Miami at this summer's tournament, the entry rules of such a new competition are not fixed. It is possible that by 2029, the Club World Cup may feature even more clubs. It's also possible that Chelsea could render this particular conversation moot by winning the Champions League at some point in the next 4 years. And then obviously we qualify anyway. So a number of things, guys, that we've touched on. Transfer news and obviously general news as well. Let me know what you think about the stadium. Would you like to stay at Earls Court? Would you like to stay at the Bridge? Although it's becoming increasingly complicated, because if you do want to move from Stamford Bridge, you've got to get 76% of CPO shareholders to vote to leave, and that's quite difficult. Roman Abramovich tried to leave in 2011. That didn't work out so well. So I would say if someone as popular as Abramovich can't win over the CPO, then it's going to be difficult for Clearlake and Bowley to do the same thing. But all the best, guys. Let me know what you think, and if you're happy or unhappy about any of these signings or departures. And smash that like button. We'll catch up very soon. All the best.